What up, fantasy world? What up? What up? What up? Yep, it's Saturday. It's crazy. We're going outside the box here on the No Man podcast, man. It's your man, it's your boy, it's Mitch Aber here with some special guests. We got him back. Austin. I mean, he's shining. We got emails about the dude on after his performance on Tuesday. Welcome back, man.
Appreciate it.
And we got the first timer here, man. Is the dude? I mean. You can't say nothing about his fantasy skills because it's there. I mean, he's a great draft. I sat next to him. Real quick funny story. I sat next to him 2 years ago. Right, was when we were at Lou's house for Lou's draft. This dude is business, and so I'm glad to have him on. My man Terrence, what's up, baby?
Oh man, hey, listen. I had to take a little time out from my college fantasy to join. So I'm here. Let's do it.
There you go. This is a special edition, like I said, people. We're going to talk about trades. We're expecting Lewis Knox to join us with a trade. But, Austin, tell me, man, what before we get into Lewis's trade thing when he talked about, what's your take on a real – let's talk real fantasy trades, like value to value, like what makes a true trade?
I would say I think there's a couple of factors. One, does it benefit both teams, right? Two, me personally, like one of my rules is don't trade for a quarterback. Very rarely trade for one.
Right.
Another one is
But let me interject and ask you this. We talked about the big three, right? We talked about those guys. If they're in that trade, would you do it?
It depends on what's out there. Like, all right, so you got to look at value too. Okay, if I'm getting back Patrick Mahomes, I'm probably giving up a lot to get him. Like, nobody's just going to give up 50 points a week.
No. That'd be stupid.
So,
no, but wait. We've talked about this before. If you're lacking, it's COVID times, crazy times, right? Mm-hmm. You're lacking in a running back and a wide receiver, right?
Right.
And you have Mahomes or you have a Jackson or Wilson. Would you be willing to give that guy up to get quality back for running back and a wide receiver? So you're trading with Terrence. Terrence has I don't want to name it. I don't know the name off the top of my head. I mean, you throw someone out there if you want. And they come to you, giving you that, asking for a Mahomes or Wilson. What do you think?
Just saying, all right, so let's say if I need a solid tier 2 wide receiver or a tier 2 running back, and they want Patrick Mahomes. No. Patrick Mahomes' floor is 25.
True. No, right. On a weekly basis.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. So, and then Russell Wilson has been killing it this year, and Lamar Jackson can bust out 50 whenever he wants, except maybe Thursday night football. So
we hate Thursday night football, by the way.
Oh yeah, it's the concussion festival. It's terrible.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it really depends, man. And then also you got to look at the waiver wire. If I'm giving up Patrick Mahomes today, can I get somebody who can give me 30 tomorrow and then 30 the next week? And is your league quarterback like hoarders? Because I know a couple leagues I'm in, they hoard quarterbacks. So I can't stream them. So I have to draft one a little earlier than expected. So
Terrence, let me ask you, what is your? I'm glad you brought that up, Austin. What's your thought on hoarding any position?
Well, it's supply and demand. So, I mean, if you got the room for it, and you're going to use it, why not? But as far as hoarding, yeah, quarterbacks, no. Quarterbacks are not of value in that sense. I think Austin hit on something about, and I want to go back because he said trade for quarterbacks. I'm not trading for a quarterback. And it really depends on the fantasy rules, right? Because I'm in a league where they don't give extra points for, throwing for 300 yards or doing this or doing that. So it really levels the playing field. So you mentioned the top three, quarterbacks. It levels the playing field with those guys versus the second and the third tier guys. So it's no need of trading for a quarterback. Also, that same league that I'm talking about, I won the championship last year with Jameis Winston all year. So I really like a lot of people. But if you're going to trade for a quarterback, I think a lot of times people have unrealistic expectations in a trade. I'm trading. I should be able to get this, and this. It's a quarterback. It's not. You see what I'm saying? So you can't expect to get. Whereas if you would trade Christian McCaffrey, you're supposed to get a lot for Christian McCaffrey.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I think also if you trade for Patrick Mahomes, then you should be looking for a second tier type starter. I wouldn't do the trade if I have Patrick Mahomes and I'm in a league that scoring is at a premium. But if you do trade him, you can't be looking for a Christian McCaffrey or an Alvin Kamara or someone like that.
Well, I mean, so I'm one of those guys that when I draft, I don't necessarily draft the quarterback early. I like to build my team, like especially in PPR leagues. You got running backs who catch, you got obviously wide receivers and tight ends. So I try to build that squad first. Now, if I'm at a position, and I said this I think I said this on the podcast the other night. If I'm in a position where I got a premium running back and a premium wide receiver in my first two picks, I may change my philosophy at that point and go after the premium quarterback if he's still there. But I think there's more value in other players, so I tend to even sometimes skip that over. So let me ask you a question, Terrence. In the league that you won, knowing that going in that there's those extra points for the quarterbacks, how does that set your mindset for your draft? Where do you typically draft a quarterback, whether you have a good pick or not?
Good question. So I'm a little different from most. I'll draft a quarterback usually 8th, 9th round or later.
Okay.
Always stay true to that philosophy. But I'm in some keeper leagues as well, so it's a little different. But typically, quarterback 8th, 9th round or later.
Okay. So this is funny. It's funny you say that because, not that there's a very thin line between premium quarterbacks and your above average quarterbacks. It depends. It's a week to week basis. Like for instance, we'll take Dak for instance this year, right? Dak this year has, we know what happened, but up until this point was ripping it apart. People are getting Dak in the 7th, 8th round because when those top three are gone, if you're in a league that's worth a damn, let me preface by saying that no rinky-dink bullshit league with your mom and your cousins and everyone's what do I do in round 5? No, and you're in a league with like ballers, like people that know how to know football. They actually, I think they give up on the whole quarterback thing once the Russells, the Mahomes, and the Jacksons are gone. Like it was back in the day. I mean, you had Brady, Rodgers, Breeze. I could probably name about 5 or 6 more that were the Peyton Mannings that were all on that same line. Like people were running after them. I mean, I remember when people were talking about drafting quarterbacks with their first pick. It's like I just never been of that mindset. But let's talk about some trades. I'm gonna throw a name out there. I'll throw a mid-range name out there, and you tell me what is, what's good return value on that. I'm gonna go with a rookie. Someone calls you and hits you up and says, "Hey man, you got CeeDee Lamb on your roster. I'm dying. I need a wide receiver. What do you want? How do you value a guy like that? Doesn't have a whole lineage, But so far, what he's put out there has been, in my opinion, and I'm not a Cowboy fan, in my opinion, top notch. I mean, the kid's a stud. He's top 10 in my opinion right now.
So when evaluating a trade, first and foremost, giving away some secrets here, but I always look at this.
I'm writing them down. I got a pad over here, Terrence. So.
Write them down.
Your audio's coming out. Your audio popped out. Your audio popped out.
So can you hear me?
Very little.
So if I'm looking to draft or make a trade, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look at the strength of schedule. Right. So I want to see what the matchups look like, et cetera, et cetera. And then also I like to see what place I'm in. If I'm in the hunt, you know, some trades I may not do versus others. But I'm always going to look at that first and foremost. And I know a lot of people use trading evaluators and all that. I don't do that.
No,
right?
I don't like those.
They're a little skewed, you know. So because if you put 2 or 3 players in an evaluator versus 2 or 3 players, it doesn't really factor in the tiers and so on and so forth. It just goes by what they project the points to be for the rest of the year. So a lot of times, I've seen it happen so many times. So I don't even use those. I feel and what I think can help my team. And Austin said, well, does it help both teams? Nobody trades to help both teams, first and foremost. Like, you trade first for, is it going to fit your team? Is it going to help your team?
Right.
And then, you know, obviously you want to try to make it fair, and so on and so forth, to get the trade to go through. But it's all about helping your team.
Sure. But at the same time, but I feel you on that. I do. But I feel at the same time, I mean, you have to, I mean, logically, I mean, if you're dealing with people that, again, know football, they're not going to get, there's not going to be too many lopsided trades that go through. I mean, look, we could talk about the trade you and Marshall did. Obviously, I promise you it's not a setup to get, you know, why we talk about it. But, you know, what you did was smart. And I'll admit that wholeheartedly. I will not deny that to anybody. And what Marshall did was smart, to be honest with you. You know, my only gripe was you made the first place team better. But in actuality, if I'm being honest, if I'm totally being honest, and this is being video recorded, it'll go up on the YouTube page. Check out the YouTube page, subscribe. Shameless plug, sorry. You got bit a little bit because you got Noah Fant. He hasn't played since you got him.
So here's my. You say I got bit, not me, because I know the player that I wanted. Right. I didn't care. The thing about the league that we're in, that a lot of people don't factor in, we don't have extra flex spots. We don't have extra wide receiver spots. So to me, it didn't matter about who I got. I wanted one player and one player only.
And you got him.
Swift and Fant were icing on the cake. Fant is out. He'll be back next week. He's out this week. That's fine. Drew Lock is also back this week. So I know Fant's value is great the rest of the year. So again, everybody through the whole year. I don't look at it just off the surface. So yes, on the surface you'll say, well, hey, Terrence got bit. Also, now that Le'Veon Bell is headed to Kansas City, Terrence may have lost that trade.
Oh, no. I think it no. See, me, that enhances that trade. That makes Hilaire that much better.
I brought that up because I needed the other person that was supposed to be on this podcast on here tonight, because he was the one that said that that may have hurt the trade. No, to me it helps the trade.
No way. That made it better. That made it better.
So yeah, no. And then also with Swift, at some point, Detroit is going to turn the ball over to him.
I agree.
So now he's added value on the bench. I've got a stable of running backs that I use, and you need that in this year especially.
Right. Well, you know, the funny thing though is, to be honest with you, and I think you know this because you've played with the guy before. He's an impulse kind of guy, Marshall. Right. So where you said Swift somewhere down the line, he doesn't. Marshall he's a good player, but I think sometimes he gets impatient, and so that line becomes shorter and shorter and shorter. And so I could see him actually getting rid of Swift because someone else becomes available. I mean, look, who in our league won the Claypool sweepstakes?
Well, I was thinking about picking him up before he blew up because my uncle is a big Steelers fan,
Okay.
and I heard a couple things where he's like their big physical receiver, and you know the Steelers always have two.
Right.
There's always two. There's always a revolving door. So, but he's too expensive there and waiver wire pickups. Nope.
Yeah. No,
Next
I
year.
mean, I right. I want to, you know what? I'm a guy that needs more than 1 week. I need to see consistent production before I sell a farm to get somebody.
True. But if you pick him up and stash,
I mean, if you can pick them up, like, look, I needed a kicker this week, right? My kicker's on a bye week. If I would have put in a claim, if I was number one, right, I probably would have put my kicker up against, to drop my kicker and pick up Claypool. I may if because I'm not really losing value to that. You know what I'm saying? But I don't know. I mean, maybe it's because I'm a Bengal fan. Whatever. You can say what you want.
division.
It's hard. It's hard to trust a Steeler anyway. Those pieces of crap. But shout out to the Pittsburgh Steelers.
So with Claypool, like I think Claypool was a great pickup, and I think Claypool's ceiling the rest of the year is going to be high. The thing of it is, I wasn't willing to move up to get him and do all those things like Austin was saying because I don't have a spot for him on the team. Right. But if you know the Steelers' history, and I know you hate the Steelers, I'm in that category too, hating the Steelers. But one thing I can respect about them is their front office. And if you know their history, how they draft, they always have a stable of wide receivers and running backs. And so Claypool is next in line. He's Martavis Bryant esque. Okay. And so what you're gonna see, and what I think is gonna happen, getting off subject a little bit, but what I think is gonna happen is you're gonna have Claypool, you're gonna have Deontay Johnson, and I think they try to move Juju in the offseason because I don't think they're gonna be able to afford it. And so
is his contract up this year?
Yes.
Okay.
So when Austin say stash, that's great if you're in a keeper league. And our league is not a keeper, so what am I stashing him for? But I do think that Claypool, you said one game, Mitch, I think he's going to ball the rest of the year. He's now starting. Deontay's out. He's starting. If he balls this week, you can look out going forward with him. So
if he has another game, even half of what he did on last Sunday, then I'm sold. I'll be honest with you, I'm sold at that point.
I'll say two things about this. One, when you think about the Steelers, think about the if all my Star Wars fans, the Sith rule of two. They always have two. Yeah. The next thing is, if he does half of what he did last week, is this the next Odell Beckham in fantasy? Because he blew up 1 week and everybody's like, it's a fluke. And then,
but I want to. The only curveball I'll throw at you is this, and this is a true curveball. Ben needs to stay healthy.
Has he been getting hit this year?
A few times he got up limping or whatever. But here's my thing: they need to start growing in Pittsburgh that next Ben. They need to now because he's not going to be around too much longer.
Well, they don't have the next Ben on the roster. I can tell you that.
No, I know that for sure. They have Mason Rudolph and they have some other scrub. So that's the problem. That to me, that's right now, sure. And like if we keep a league, I don't know if I would keep. I don't know. Oh my God, stop! No more Steeler talk. I think I got a little sick inside. I mean, it's tough. I mean, now, let's talk about it's coming up November 13th, the trade deadline. In terms of, I'll start with you. Give me a big name what you think will get moved.
So trade deadline. One was Bell. Like I had him pegged to be moved. That happened before the trade deadline.
Oh, he got released.
Yeah, well, same thing. I mean, they went ahead and made a move. And coincidentally, they couldn't find a trade partner for him early to give up anything. And I think teams kind of knew that they were going to release him, right?
Right. That's why no one traded for him.
Correct. But as far as the trade deadline, I don't know. I think this year we're going to have way more moves than we typically do. But if I had to peg a name, maybe Sam Darnold.
Well, where do you think a good fit with him would be?
So, I mean, I think, you just don't know. Like, I think the Chargers are set for their future with Herbert, and we need to get back to that trade that you mentioned at the beginning. I think they're set. I think Miami feels good. I don't know if the market is going to be as big for him as it would have been if Trevor Lawrence wasn't available. So, I think some teams are going to tank for him and try and get Trevor. But as far to answer your question, maybe Detroit.
As a backup, obviously.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, he gets traded to anyone right now. He's a backup, straight up. I think.
Yeah, he's not going anywhere to start.
No. Austin, who in your mind of minds right now do you think would be
well, Terrence kind of brought up a good thing, kind of combining those two topics. Why not Sam Darnold?
He's back.
Yeah, so why not Sam Darnold to the Steelers?
That was the easy choice, Austin. I didn't want to say that.
Yeah, as soon as you said, I was like, wait a minute. Yeah, you just talking about the Steelers? Okay, yeah, that'd be perfect.
Really? No, but see, I don't agree with you on that. They need tough guys there, man.
He played for the Jets.
He got beef with Ghosts. Ghosts be knocking him down and stuff, man.
He's tough, Mitch, and he slings the ball. That is a perfect DNA of a Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback.
You think he's tough? I don't know. I mean, I get it. I guess he is. I mean, I don't want to shit on Sam Darnold, but hey, that's yeah. What do you give up for him though? A draft pick, a player? I mean, Mason Rudolph and his,
draft pick, second round top draft pick. It's the Jets. They're gonna get the top overall pick, or top 3 overall pick. Just give them a draft pick. They'll be happy. If they don't get a draft pick, okay. If the Jets don't get something in return that's like really, really good, I mean, you're the Jets. What you want? You're either gonna use him like a toy and he's gonna be broke,
right?
Or you can get some value for him. Like, I don't think he's that bad.
No, I like Sam Darnold. They just
play for the Jets.
They just have no offensive line whatsoever, dude. Like whatsoever.
A offensive line can make a okay quarterback look pretty good. Yeah. And you have that offense. You got Connor, Juju, if he's still there, Claypool, Johnson. A great culture. Because here it is. Tomlin can coach a team with no quarterback to be 8-8.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, okay. So I'm gonna stay sick for a little while. No COVID, people. I got the Steeler vid. So I'm gonna give you a quarterback who I think is tough, but will be much cheaper than Sam Darnold. I mean, 3rd or 4th round pick. Trubisky.
Nope. I mean, I wish he would pick up a sandwich and sell it to me, but no, that's it. I'm not. Nah, Mitchell Trubisky. Like it's bad because we're comparing him to not Russell Wilson, Deshaun Watson, and Patrick Mahomes. It's not his fault that he was picked number 2. And they traded up from 3 to 2 to get him, even though the 49ers I think was going to pick Solomon Thomas anyway. I think that was the same draft, but either way, it's not his fault that he got picked up there, man. But come on now, he's not it. And Steelers get Trubisky.
I disagree. I think the kid could be good. I think that again, he when you got a pile of nothing.
Do they?
Uh,
They have solid running backs, not like a showstopper, knock out the park. At Allen Robinson, the tight ends are not bad.
well, look, hey, let me say, look, I was at a Bears game, by the way. Trey Burton got my wife got better hands than Trey Burton at times. Dude was drops everything, dude. Now he's found a new life wherever he is now. What team is he on now? He was just
Colts.
The Colts. He's playing better. God bless him. God bless you. But when he was on the Bears, he sucked. He was terrible. Okay, no more Steelers talk. I got heartburn right now. A little bit.
The Steelers, is that your team, Austin?
Oh, no, I'm a Panther fan.
He's a Panther fan.
Yeah.
For me, I've been thinking about this. Like any big names, the first one comes to mind is AJ Green. That I think that would go. I don't know if I believe the whole circus act now of I want to be a Bengal and all that stuff, but not to even talk about my team. I think the Giants need to do something. I don't know what it is, but I think the Giants are in line to make some sort of a trade with somebody to try to get somebody big instead of giving you the name of someone big. I think the Giants are going to go after somebody, but I don't know what void that is. Maybe it's a center, someone on the offensive line. Because look, I'm telling you, they are 100% sold on Daniel Jones, and I like Daniel Jones
From Charlotte.
The kid is good. Terrence, your boys see him twice a year. I think the kid has potential, and he's doing better. Let's just say that. Darius Slayton and Golden Tate. But I like Daniel Jones, and I think they need to do that kind of trade. Send somebody for an offensive line. Whether it be a center, whether it be a right guard, whatever it is to protect this young man and keep him upright. The Giants could be a good team.
Yeah, they could. But I think the only problem with that is if you have a good offensive lineman, you're not letting them go. Period.
No. Oh no.
That's the thing. It's like
Tennessee let Conklin go, and they let two other guys, one or two other guys go as well.
Was that under Jeff Fisher or was that under?
No, just last year.
Last year, okay.
Yeah,
They got Derrick Henry.
You said no one is letting a good offensive lineman go. Hello, Carolina Panthers, Trey Turner.
Yeah.
All-pro
Yeah.
Trey Turner.
Right, but here's my thing about that. Our offensive line looks a lot better without him. Which I'm kind of mad because I'm like, hold up, we had Cam Newton. Cam Newton had no offensive line. I don't know what happened with this year. Teddy has a little bit more time, so it feels like we had a Ferrari and we had no insurance, and now we have I can believe that. Yep. Shout out to LSU.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like night and day.
Your audio's down a little bit too, but look, I always say this: if you got a quarterback, and you feel like you got a pretty decent team. If Evan Ingram could stay healthy, and they make a trade or whatever, in the next season in the draft, get those kids from Nebraska, from those big corn-fed kids that could move a truck just by breathing on it. The Bengals went after Billy Price from Ohio State. They got him, and he was fragile like soft patch cookie dough, but he's on his way back. So hopefully Joe Burrow, because that dude takes a beating. But I will ask you guys that though, to kind of make my stomach go back down from the Steeler talk. I could talk about my Bengals a little bit. What's a good What's a good trade for AJ Green in fantasy if he goes to a team that needs a wide receiver? Like, think of a team right now that you think needs a wide receiver.
Waiver wire.
Waiver wire. Well, no. What are you talking about?
No, for a trade for AJ Green, I just get him off your team.
Yeah, right.
Like, he had 13 targets, 5 points. 9 targets, 2 points.
No, I'm just, I get it, but I'm just saying, it's like, what is his trade value?
0.
It's 0.
Even if he goes to a team that needs a wide receiver that has a good quarterback?
Yeah, 0. Because here's the thing. If he goes to a team who needs a good quarterback,
No, has a good quarterback.
or okay, who has a good quarterback, how is that going to change him from getting 13 targets? Like the thing is, like, it's not like he's not getting the ball or targets. Like, he's getting the work from the numbers.
Yeah, but he's with a rookie quarterback, and not saying that. I mean, Joe's hitting other guys like Tyler Boyd and Higgins. I think there's a lot of guys that are still, when AJ's out there, they're covering him. I mean, he's still a threat right now. I mean, he's playing tomorrow, so tomorrow. I'm not necessarily saying they're going to double team him over Tyler Boyd, but if him and Joe could get a connection, I mean, AJ could be back to being AJ. I think
AJ
goes high.
AJ has obviously lost a step, Mitch, but I don't think AJ is 100%. If you watch, he's laboring. I mean, he's trying, but he's laboring out there. So I don't think he's 100%. So him getting traded at the trade deadline or whatever the case may be this year, I don't know if it's impactful this year. But I do think, AJ Green is what you call a dog. So I mean, he did play at Georgia, but I think that.
No pun intended.
Listen, I'm a certain fan. You see it. So, but
did they win today? Did they win today?
Yeah, they beat Auburn. But I think this offseason is big for AJ Green, like a true offseason where he's not having to recover from an injury, where he can really will be big.
Get back to what he was.
Yeah, definitely. But this year, no, I don't see it.
Okay.
Well, okay, let's see. So if you trade to a top quarterback, right? So what? So if he goes to Seattle, is he gonna beat out Metcalf or Lockett?
I think he beat out Lockett. I think him and Metcalf would be a pretty dangerous duo.
Okay.
With a little sprinkle of Lockett in there.
So say if he goes to Kansas City, is he gonna beat out Tyreek Hill? Oof.
No, because but see, Kansas City's different because you would so 1 week you'll have. Look, okay, so let's do this. So Kansas City, you have Kelsey and you have Hill.
Yeah, and Watkins as being the number 3.
Right, but then you have Watkins and then you have Hardman, and they throw to their running backs, and now you sprinkle in Le'Veon Bell in 16 days when he's able to join the team or whatever the case may be. Any Tyreek Hill is his number 1 guy. Like if he's looking for an over the top, a deep slant guy, he's looking at Tyreek Hill first and foremost. Everyone else, wide receiver wise, is a far second thought, because then you got Kelsey over the middle all the time. So
right, yep.
But I would say someone like Minnesota, him, Justin Jefferson, and
Thielen?
Adam Thielen. I mean, that's a good spot for it. That would be a good spot for AJ.
But would you call Kirk Cousins a good quarterback?
I would.
Okay.
I would. He slings the ball, man. I mean, he's a slinger. I mean, I don't know.
You like that?
I like him. I
you
like
that?
Kirk. I'm a Kirk Cousins guy, man. I like the guy. He gave me some good points,
Listen, hey, you Minnesota, he could fit there because the thing about Jefferson plays the slot.
Mm-hmm.
So he could fit there. But Austin, you paused on Kansas City, but as you guys were talking, I'm thinking about it. He actually fit perfect with Kansas City because, one, AJ's not taking the top off of defense anymore. He's not the 3-4-4 guy that he was coming out of college. Tyreek Hill, Hardman, Watkins, you can name it. All those guys can take the top off the defense. Mitch said Kelsey will work the middle. So now that leaves AJ Green as your possession guy. He's another first down target, a la Travis Kelce.
Right. No, that's a great breakdown.
Like, would he fit into like a Aquan Bolden toward the end of his career type role?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I can see that. I can see that.
Like Larry Fitzgerald, like 3-4 years ago.
Yeah. Okay. I can see that.
That's interesting. No, that's Yeah, so let's go back. Let's Terrence, you brought it back up. Let's talk about that trade. He's not, obviously not going to join. I think he's a little, whatever.
Responsibly.
Yeah, very possible. So
Happy Saturday.
someone brought to our attention this trade. It was he was going to send Justin Herbert and Mike Williams to this guy for Cam Newton. Who was the other ones, Austin?
Mark Ingram.
Mark Ingram and I said it earlier.
Yeah, just a second. Hold on.
Cam, Mark Ingram, and wow, man, I can look it up.
I got it right here. Oh, that's his lineup. Oh,
No, it was Herbert, Williams.
yeah, he was giving up Herbert. There you go. He was giving up Justin Herbert and Mike Williams, and in return, he would get Brandon Cooks, Mark Ingram, and Cam Newton. I said no. And this is before we know it was some wacky 2-quarterback league, whatever. I said no. I think there's more upside to Justin Herbert. That was my initial no. I think Cam's a beast. Healthy Cam, I've said it 1,000 times over. A healthy Cam Newton is a fantasy animal. But a healthy Cam Newton. He's already got the COVID once. It's Bill Belichick. Austin, you said that on the podcast on Tuesday. Cam Newton could get 45 points one game and 7 points the next game.
Still win.
And still win, right? It's all about a game plan and how it goes down. It was different in Carolina. He was the game plan. It was,
right.
That's what it was. But I would say no to that trade. What's your guys' thoughts?
You got it.
Go ahead, Austin.
I was gonna say since it's 2-quarterback league, pick up somebody off the waiver wire because you're using one guy for a 1-week rental.
Yeah,
it's a 1-week rental. If not, just take the L. Hopefully your record can sustain it. But
well, it's so early in the season, anyone's record can sustain it right now.
Right. Unless you're like 0 or 1-4.
Hey, watch it, pal.
Okay, my bad. 0-5. Is that better? 0-5. All right, so
I'm 1-4 in his league, so I'm like, damn.
Hey, it's all right, man. I made the playoffs from 1-4 before.
There you go.
Hey, it's all about moves. But
keep hope alive, baby.
Got to. There's nothing else to do.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's it kind of depends on, I guess, on the record and how desperate you need to be. But at the same time, pick up somebody off the waiver. Hopefully you drafted well and the rest of your lineup is solid except for that one spot.
Right.
And then you pick up somebody and then drop it.
What's your thoughts, Terrence?
Yeah, so when I first saw it, my initial thought was no, and that's still my thought. But since we're doing a podcast, there's no way I'm trading Herbert. Because I studied his schedule. He's where Austin said Mahomes is a 25-point floor. I think this guy's around 20 points floor. So I'm not going to trade. He's only going to get better, right? The more games he plays, he's only going to get even better. So I wouldn't trade that for Cam Newton. I don't know. Cam Newton is feast or famine this year, and rightfully so. Being picked up late in the offseason, but he's feast or famine. So I like to have that 20-point floor every week. So I know what I'm getting from that position. But I wouldn't trade Herbert. And then furthermore, I just didn't like the trade in general.
Yeah.
I think somebody mentioned it in the chat, but at some point Dobbins is going to take over.
Yeah.
At some point he's going to get more touches.
Yep.
And so that kind of nullifies Ingram. The only way you trade for an Ingram or lesser tier player this year is if you're just out of options or you're trading for handcuff reasons.
Yep.
Okay.
Or depth, just in case.
COVID.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean the COVID got everyone shook this year. I mean, so you're making moves that you may have made in previous years. So absolutely no. Yeah, I told her I would not do that trade. I mean, it's just too much. Like to me, that's like you're selling your farm system to just get that home run hitter for the rest of the season, and then you're like, because I think he's gonna put far superior numbers to Cam the rest of the season. Herbert himself, shit, all three of those guys he was getting, he may eclipse all three of those guys. You know, because I mean, like you said, Cooks. I mean, Cooks had one good week with Deshaun. I mean, I don't know if that's going to be a blessing in disguise for Brandon Cooks to go to that team, or it's going to be his demise.
I mean, I think he's going to do Brandon Cooks things. He's going to peak,
which is,
and then it's just like stocks. You get them low,
right?
Sell them high,
right?
Get the profits, move on,
and be out, right?
Yep. Don't get greedy. He put up a monster game. Find somebody who needs a wide receiver. And also with that trade, it looks like it's more of a, hey, I'm gonna give you the big name quarterback and you give me the little name quarterback, but you're not looking at the numbers.
Right. Well, maybe the guy knows he's a Panther fan and he makes Lewis kind of trades. It does that. Lewis.
Good point right there. Not to cut you off, but you actually brought up a good point. You didn't even know you were bringing it up. When you're in fantasy, a lot of times people have a tendency to trade with their heart and not their mind.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm guilty of that. We've all probably been guilty of that, right?
Absolutely.
I'm a huge Zeke fan. I always have been, even when he was at Ohio State. But now that he plays for the Cowboys, I really like him. But I'm not going to salvage the farm. Like, I'm not going to give up the farm for it.
Right.
And I've seen people do this. Heck, it was 3 years ago or 4 years ago in this league. Who was that drafted? Was it Kenny drafted Cam Newton in the first round?
Yeah.
Yep.
It was
I remember that.
Either Kenny or Lewis, one of the two.
It wasn't Lewis. It was Kenny.
It was 2016. It was after the MVP season. I remember that. Yep.
Yes, and I was sitting there smiling because I knew that it shifted the whole boards. When he took him that early, I knew that a great player was going to fall to me. But that's because he's using his heart and not his mind, right?
I mean, look, shout out to Kenny. Love the guy. He's been in my league for years. Who's the kid from App State that went to the Panthers years ago?
Edwards. Yeah.
Fourth pick. Kenny took Amani Edwards. Fourth pick. Like, no, not fourth pick, like his fourth pick, the fourth pick of the draft.
Shout out to Amani Edwards.
Yeah, what shoe carnival is he working on now?
He's actually doing pretty good in business. He and his wife and everything.
Okay, so he's out of football completely.
Yeah, he's out.
Okay. This COVID shit got me going. Yeah, speaking of the COVID again, as we always talk about apparently on the podcast, we should be sponsored by the COVID. I'm just saying. But
everybody, wash your hands.
Yeah.
Right.
Like this morning, I mean, it's funny. I said to my wife this morning, who, by the way, hates everything fantasy football. I said to her, you wake up in the morning. For me, everyone has a routine. Maybe you check your phone, maybe you do this, but I think true fantasy football players now are checking their phone every morning to say, all right, which team caught the COVID last night? Who's in quarantine today? And it happened again this morning. There was another team this morning that shut down their facility. But it was for more backup players and staffers, and a lot of these false positives are coming out now. I mean, it sucks. Like, even on like a tomorrow morning. Thankfully, this is the first Sunday morning or Sunday that I'm going to be home. My son doesn't have a baseball game, an hour away at 12 o'clock, and we're there till 6 o'clock at night. I get to watch football all day. So, like, I'm kind of nervous to wake up tomorrow morning and see if Terrence posted something in the chat or someone posted something in the chat saying, well, boom, this team was shut down to COVID. their game's postponed to Tuesday. Like, I'm over it, man. I'm over it. Fuck you, COVID.
Depth is at an all-time high this year. You got to have depth on your teams.
Yes, you have to. And what sucked for me is like in our league that the three of us are in together. Shout out to the Last Man Standing League. I didn't have Kenny Galladay because of injury. Then AJ Brown goes out. I wound up trading away, Jonnu Smith. I was hurting, and it wasn't even from the freaking COVID. I wasn't even getting hit by the COVID. Like even the teams that were affected, I didn't even have any of those guys. Then I lose Saquon week 1. Like,
yeah, you just caught a bad break, man.
I caught the worst of breaks. Not even just bad breaks. Like, I'm telling people this that have just started playing fantasy and people that have played fantasy for years, and I tell them, look, I said this is my team, and before I tell them about injuries, Saquon Barkley, Aaron Jones, Kenny Galladay, AJ Brown, John. They're like, you for? No, motherfucker, those guys don't play. Like, Jesus, I was like, I don't know, man. It sucks, but
I would say, go ahead. No, I'll say this one thing though. It would I think I said this last time. This year would it's either gonna make you a great GM,
right,
or you're gonna quit fantasy football altogether. So, like, what? Who sneezed?
Yeah,
Man, can't do it.
Yep. So. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Well, yeah, I mean, I do want to say one more thing about the Le'Veon Bell thing. Besides, I think it's obvious Kansas City is a good fit for him. I mean, it's Kansas City. You're just making you're making you're making the best team in the league better. Like what would happen with Terrence, Not to stick that in there to you, but I love you, buddy. But what other team would you have thought was a great landing spot for him?
I think
Miami. Oh, you got it.
I think Buffalo was a better landing spot. Miami was a spot for the convenience because he stays there and so on and so forth. About Miami, I don't really want him because we're on the cusp of actually being good. And, I think Miami's going to just win some games off pure effort the rest of the year. But if I'm them, and then also, they've got some high draft picks. But if I'm them, I don't bring Le'Veon in unless it was a move to get us to a championship or get us to the playoffs or something like that.
Gotcha.
I just ride out with Myles Gaskin and company, and get ready for the draft. And then next year, I think they really start making some moves.
Yeah, because Tua's going to start next year, and it's going to be Tua time. And yeah, I totally agree.
Do you think Tua's going to hit the field this year?
As long as he stays Fitzmagic and not Fitztragic, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
I think he's ready to play. I just think there's no really need to bring him in and at this point and risk anything. Let him fully, as long as they're playing good, which they are right now. They're playing decent. If you could let that kid just continue to heal, I mean, the short quarterback thing scares me to begin with. Whatever, but with the amount of picks that they do have coming up in the draft, they could really work on that offensive line even more and really protect this kid the way he needs to be protected, because the kid has the potential to be amazing. I mean, I hate Alabama and I hate everything that comes out of Alabama, but because I mean traditionally they're terrible. I mean, Mark Ingram was the best so far in the last few years. Mm-hmm. A lot of those guys that come out of Alabama, they were just system guys, and Amari Cooper, right? That's where Amari came from, right? Amari's a beast, but he had a rough start at it until he got to me with a better quarterback. I mean, I know people are going to hate me for saying that, but Dak Prescott is a light years better than Derek Carr, in my opinion. For a wide receiver like Amari Cooper, I think he understands what Amari Cooper brings to the table more than what Derek Carr thought he brought to the table.
Yeah.
But traditionally, Alabama players are garbage, you know, that come into the league. They last 2 or 3 years, and boom. You know, I'm a Gator guy through and through, and we've had a lot more guys that come out. Emmett Smith, shout out. That come out of the University of Florida and are just way better than what any Alabama player could be. That's why I like this kid, and I'll tell you, I picked him up. Perrine. I'm a Perrine guy. I followed him in college. I really like him. I think he needs to learn more what the NFL's, the speed of the NFL. Once he learns that speed, that kid's going to be special.
I actually saw it was him and Gore run a waiver wire, and I had flashbacks of because I think it was one year I picked up somebody, and it wasn't Gore, and I was like, "There's no way they're gonna give Gore all the touches." They gave Gore all the touches.
Yeah, give Gore all the touches.
Man,
But I can see. You know what I can see. I mean, I'm not starting the kid, and you know, I'm going to use him as a bye week guy unless he starts really going off. Then I may use him as a starter because if Melvin Gordon can't get his Lewis Knox drinking problem under control, you know, it's a wrap. Yeah, shout out to Lewis, man. Thanks for joining, you drunk bastard. But you know, I think the kid's pretty good. But you know, we've been on for a minute. I thank you guys. The impromptu podcast, I love them. You know, this is the life. This is what we're trying to do, baby. We all blow up together. This is all for everybody. You know, I call it the No MaaM. Obviously, you guys are not in that league, but you know, love your thoughts on, you know, especially, you know, that I'm blessed to be in leagues with guys that really get it, and you two definitely get it. So, and I've given you that compliment before, and I'll give it to you again. But yeah, man, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Tell everyone, your mammy, your pappy, your uncle, your aunt, grandma, grandpa, old age home, trailer park, wherever, man, wherever you're at, just at the cookouts, just say, hey, check out the podcast. Subscribe to the channel, get us blown up. Austin, thank you. As always, you're the man, you're the myth, the legend. T, I hope you like the taste of this, what we do. You know, I may be calling on you for a Tuesday podcast, you know, or, you know, but I think whenever we got something to talk about, man, like this COVID stuff, you know, or trades or whatever, as long as it's not the Steelers, you know, we talk one of these together, man. We have a good time. Fellas, appreciate your time.
All right.
Love and peace, baby.
Peace.
Peace.